Well, today really excited to be joined with Michael Jenson, who's new to Cicero and brings a really interesting background to the firm and really cool expertise. So, Michael, thanks for joining
Of
today.
course.
Let's start with your title and a little bit about your background and what you'll do here at Cicero.
Sure. So I'm Michael Jenson. I joined as a principal here at the firm. My background, I spent 20 years at this unique intersection of technology with an emphasis on media. So I went to film school, was producing and directing music videos and commercials for a number of years before joining a talent agency out in Hollywood and then migrating and running digital for a production film finance company called Legendary Entertainment, which was based at Warner Brothers. So I had an amazing experience working on some of the biggest movie franchises and $100+ million films with directors like Zack Snyder and Guillermo del Toro and Christopher Nolan, and had experiences on developing and working on some of those big franchise film properties, but also extending into the digital space and early days of YouTube and early days of how do you create digital content in the creator economy. So really at the forefront of innovation in the media space. Sort of at that time fell in love with digital technologies and post business school, worked in venture capital, investing in early stage companies that were trying to leverage technology to build new businesses, and then got recruited to go into Deloitte and was part of their strategy and operations practice, where I spent almost 5 years working with some of the biggest clients in the world, from big media companies to big technology companies to even interesting smaller companies like the Grammys and World Economic Forum, and again kind of your bigger companies like a Google and Intel and Verizon. So really enjoyed the consulting process and having an impact in changing businesses and helping solve complex problems. At which point I also have a journey in the entrepreneurship space where I founded a company called Speaker, which I built for about 2 years, raised venture money for, and then ultimately that company was sold and rolled up and went public on the New York Stock Exchange. So I've had a variety of experiences, both entrepreneurial as a founder and then in big corporate environments, and have also been a professor for 10 years at the USC School of Cinematic Arts. So I try and span as many things as possible.
That's that's actually a lot of fun. That background is it's perfect for consulting and what we see so often with Cicero, just a high caliber of folks who really at the core are driven, but also know how to solve problems. And man, I can only imagine working on $100 million films and just these big organizations to kind of accomplish goals and then getting into transformation. And so let's talk a little bit about that and your experience in digital transformation and maybe where you've specifically found expertise and background.
Sure, I think there's two areas where I've attacked it, and one is as an entrepreneur and building businesses from the ground up, looking at a market, looking at an opportunity, seeing a discrepancy in that market as far as the use of a technology or the implementation of a technology to build a new business or to make a process more efficient or to deliver customer success and satisfaction in new ways leveraging technology. So I've done that as a founder and creating new businesses that way. Simultaneously, I think a big opportunity is the use of technology and making processes and making operations and making companies more efficient in the way they do things now. So just the amount of technology that exists out there, to be able to look at a process, look at an operation, or look at a product strategy and say, how can we make this better using technology? And so I've been able to do that at large companies and do things like look at a big media company and review their entire analytics strategy and say,
Okay.
okay, you're collecting thousands and thousands, if not millions of pieces of data on a daily basis. How can you actually take that data and then not just collect it and organize it, but use it to make great decisions and make decisions that have a high impact on your organization as well as on your customers?
So, what are some maybe recent trends that you're noticing within transformation? As you mentioned, you've worked with these companies to find these
Sure.
efficiencies. What's kind of something new that you've started to notice in that space, and specifically maybe what you've worked on a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, AI is one of the biggest, change agents at this point right now. That's
Totally.
super buzzy, but at the same time, if you kind of strip away buzz factor of Gen AI and some things that are happening with just the regulation and the fear that's attached to what AI will do at a ground level. There's lots of ways that technology can be implemented to make daily improvements and to make not remove workers or to eliminate workers or jobs, but to actually improve those and make those people much more efficient. So I recently was advising and I'm advising a company that's changing a process in the media cycle in and around pre-production and kind of the ramping up to getting a movie or a TV show or a digital series made. And the way that they go about doing that is instead of processes that by hand that a producer or a creative executive would take days, if not weeks, to produce and cost thousands of dollars. AI comes in and automates that process and does it and improves it and will do it within a matter of 30 seconds and give you an output. So it's not removing that job, but it's taking him from all this manual kind of grunt work to a place where they can start making decisions as an organization or as a team much more efficiently. So, that's an example of what's possible in the creative spaces. That
Yeah.
is the same within, within a manufacturing business or within an education platform. Then all these different sectors where there's a lot of opportunity to take AI and put it into a process that's just much more efficient and make it much more efficient and get to a place where you can make decisions with more information and do it quickly.
So, you mentioned that there are these tools that they are cutting edge. They're finding these efficiencies. It could be operationally, it could be on product, it could be all of these. You could apply it across a lot of sectors and industries. I mean, where are you seeing this being used in a compelling way? Is it impacting product teams more, or other operational folks more free, or where are you seeing this be really impactful right now?
I think it's across the board. I don't think it's one one over the other. There's a lot of hype around the creative side of things
Okay.
and the development around creativity, but but where I'm seeing more impact is on the operational side.
Okay.
So while there's big opportunities, for example, to use a platform to create images or create generative or use Gen AI to create images or video games or things like that, where I'm seeing a lot of opportunities actually in the early stage piece of that on the operations side of it. So gaming's a really interesting example where yes, in the future you could theoretically use AI to create a game from scratch where you just type in, hey, create me a game, X, Y, and Z happens. That's possible. That will be possible in the future. But right now,
Yeah.
there's opportunity to say, okay, I need to create a character, or I need to create a piece of art or I need to put a piece of music in here. And so there's tons of tools that are being built to be able to speed up that process. And that's really just improving instead of having instead of taking weeks to create a piece of music and layering it into a video game, you can do that within using different tools and do that within minutes, if not, within a few days.
Well, and I think as I think about, marketing and how it gets impacted by I think that while there may be a lot of fear around it, I think that tools and like any other technological innovation, it's just going to layer on efficiency with old process, but then it creates all this opportunity to better use these tools, which make you more effective and think about being more unique in how you pursue your goals. Do you see operationally something similar where there maybe it's just like these outdated, clunky methods, but then you're able to make it more efficient and then also improve on top of that? Does that make
Yeah, no,
sense?
that makes sense. And I think a lot of that comes down to, how do you move away from manual tracking and manual reporting to automated reporting, and not just the aspect of how can you get data quicker, but how can you use that data to drive insights, to level up that analysis so that instead of just saying, okay, I've got a sales software that's tracking my my win-loss ratio, but I'm actually getting that report, but and then I'm getting insights on how to improve and how to make changes. So I think the opportunity is collecting information. That's happening right now. Now it's about how do you organize that, and then how do you level up from that, and be able to derive and develop insights that will make you better going forward versus just a retroactive look on, hey, how could we do that better, to, hey, let's change this so that we do it better going forward.
I like that thought on like how are you evolving? Like
Mm-hmm.
how are you conforming and then evolving and amplifying
Mm-hmm.
to improve? Maybe on a last thought, Michael, anything else that folks should consider um, within your particular areas of expertise?
Yeah, big picture companies and organizations, this is the time now to look at your big picture strategies, to look at, okay, here's what we've done in the past, here's where we're strong, here's where we're weak, or where we need to improve, and how best to tackle the changes, the macro changes that are happening across the board in industry and your particular industry, as well as in the application of technology into those industries. So how can you get ahead of the curve in the adoption, in the understanding, and in the implementation of those? So I would say that's a opportunity that every company should take a look and say, okay, what can we do, now to get ahead of the curve for changes that are coming down the pipeline.
Well, Michael, thanks so much for joining today.
Thank you.